everyone, and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Happy Friday to you all, my friends. We've made it. We've made it to the end of the week, and I hope that you're having a fantastic day. Whether your day is just beginning, in the middle, or towards the end, I hope that it's going really well. I hope that you're excited for the weekend. I hope you have great things planned, and I hope that you have some time set aside to relax. I really hope that for you. And if you are having a tough day today already, I just hope that you consider taking the 5-minute reset, which is to take at least 5 minutes to yourself. Take more if you have it, but take at least 5 minutes to be by yourself and give yourself the opportunity to take a break, to reset, reboot, restart your day right then and there, and also take a break from any burdens, issues, problems, stressors that you've been holding on to that are weighing you down, that are causing you to just feel like maxed out. You know what I mean? Also, take the opportunity to problem solve any issues that you are directly dealing with so that you're able to go back to that issue with a resolution and be able to offer that to the problem and move on from it, hopefully sooner than later. I also always suggest people make a list of at least 4 items that you are grateful for. They can be big things, small things, medium-sized things. It does not matter. You can be grateful for seeing like the beautiful colors changing on your drive home from work or wherever you're going. You can be grateful that you are getting like a half day or a holiday at work coming up, because that's awesome. Maybe you're grateful that you had a little bit of extra cash saved up so you're able to buy some cool things on Prime Days this past week. Or maybe you're just grateful that you were able to spend some time with someone that you haven't been able to in quite some time. So it doesn't matter what it is. And the beauty of that is it means that you can be grateful for literally anything, and the list will never end, which I think is a beautiful thing. It's a great thing. And so last but not least, I always encourage you to feel at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of your day after doing the 5-minute reset, after resetting your day, because hopefully with coming up with a list of 4 things to be grateful for and taking the opportunity to take a break and reset your day, your mindset should have shifted just a little bit and your perspective should have changed so that you are able to, again, feel at least neutral and not be harping so much on the negative things that are happening in your life. I want to make sure you understand that I am not here to diminish your feelings at all whatsoever, but it is so much easier to get through the hard things while you're focusing on the good things. So, and I'm not saying to do that 24/7, just most of the time to help you. But I do hope you're having a fantastic day. Just a reminder that this week we are talking about the top 10 questions to ask yourself regularly. And today, Friday, the last 2 questions that we are going to go over is, what is my why, and how can I create the life I desire? So let's just jump in. I feel like I left the hardest questions for the end of the week, but I think these ones will allow you to have something deep to think about over the weekend, and maybe these are questions you have never asked yourself, so it will be eye-opening what your answers are. My guess is most of you guys have at least asked yourself these 2 questions at least once in your life, but if you haven't, it's not a big deal at all whatsoever. It's actually an opportunity to think about something new, something different, something that could challenge you for sure, and something that'll help you grow and become stronger in your mind and push you forward in your life in general. So, but yeah, these ones, I think that they're the hardest ones. If I had to evaluate all the questions that we've talked about so far, these ones are the most difficult, at least for me. Maybe these questions will end up being the easiest for you, but I feel like these ones are pretty difficult questions in my personal opinion. So let's just get right into it. The first question I want to go over is, what is my why? You know, both of today's questions are super difficult for me to answer, but I still continue to ask myself these questions because I know I will learn a little more about myself every time I think about it or ask myself these questions. And I just, you know, it's something important to realize that you have to continue to do things over and over and over sometimes. You know, and they talk about how the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. But I personally think that sometimes that's actually a good thing, because if you continually do the same thing over and over a certain period of time, and not just necessarily like back to back to back. Like, these questions you could ask yourself this, the day to day to day. I personally would say that you don't necessarily have to ask yourself these two questions every single day, because the answers may not change that frequently unless big dramatic things happen in your life. But it's important to do it on the regular, because you will get different answers. You will grow and learn, and you will change and shift, and your answers will grow and become different and change, and open up more information to you to help you continue on the journey you want to achieve the goals of whatever you want to do. So, but something I neglected to mention in the beginning of the week is that you need to give yourself some grace and patience when going through these thinking exercises, because you might not always have the answers you want or need or understand. So a lot of questions at the last couple days for this week, you could definitely ask yourself those questions every single day. I definitely would not suggest asking yourself, like, how can I create the life I want, and what is your why every single day. You for sure could, because you could do it on a small scale where you ask yourself, what is your why, like specifically for today, or what is your why specifically for today in this area, or like, how can you create the life you want today, like what steps can you take today. But if you think about the question as a whole, you might not want to like go that deep every single day. If you want to parse it out into little bits, like as in thinking about it on a daily mindset, then that will definitely work. But I definitely wanted to bring up the fact that don't worry if you ask yourself these questions every day and you don't always have an answer. You don't feel like your answers are changing as often as you expect that they would, because it's just, you have to go through it in your own time, in your own manner, and in your own speed that you're meant to do it. You're meant to grow at a certain speed, and you can't rush it, because if you rush it, you might end up, hobbling down the wrong path and then having to waste time coming back up. And yes, it's not all waste, because you're taking the time to learn a great lesson there, of course. And we learn a lot of great lessons through mistakes or faults of our own. But, if you are able to avoid a lot of those trips down that journey, that tougher journey, then it's just better. But I want you to know that you do have to give yourself grace and patience, and understand that you might not always have anything to contribute, or it might not be as profound as it was last week or yesterday or 2 days ago. And that's just the way it's going to be. It's going to depend on how you're feeling that day. It's going to depend on what stressors and things that you're going through, if you have any really big struggles in your life, and what is currently shifting and changing for you. So I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. But with this first question, what is my worth? I would suggest asking yourself this question in regards to different parts of your life. As I briefly mentioned before, you can for sure think about it in a general way, but by going section by section and applying it that way, you can get a little deeper with your answers. And you could say, what is my why for going to work? And if you wanted to get even more specific, going to work today. So like, why are you going to continue to have a good attitude? Why are you going to continue to try to do your best despite everyone else around you like working only at a mediocre level, right? Or maybe it's like, what is your why for being a good parent today? What is important to you to be a good parent today? What are you going to model to your parent or to your child as a parent? And what kind of attitude are you going to have? And what kind of amazing thoughts and examples are you going to instill in your child that day? So if you want to go ahead and just break it down into different parts of your life, so like work, if you're a parent, and whatever hobbies, like what is your why of spending all your extra time learning how to play guitar and recording yourself singing or taking photos, or, sharing fashion ideas, or whatever it is you do on the side, like what's your why of doing that? And for me, this question can get me instantly overwhelmed if I am not careful in managing my emotions. And it's also because I am immediately judging myself for maybe not having the correct answer. I just want you to know this question and the next one could be super hard to get through, but it will help you realize more of who you are and what you want in life. And again, going back to this question, what is my why? Getting me instantly overwhelmed. Yeah, it's just because sometimes I am not looking to manage my emotions and realize how emotional it makes me feel that I don't necessarily can pin down my why for those certain sections of my life. And then especially so if I'm thinking of it in a higher general kind of ideal, because it's really tough for me right now. I'm going through a really tough season in my life where I don't understand what's happening fully. And I know that might sound like weird to you. You're like, well, what are you talking about? Like, you have a job and you have hobbies and you have things you love and it seems like you're on track. It does seem like I'm on track. It seems like I'm on track because I'm really, really, really good at portraying that. However, I've been trying really hard not to portray that. I've been trying really hard to just be real and raw and transparent. And I want you guys to know that for me, when I ask myself, what is my why? And I know that you come here for encouragement and motivation, and this might not seem it, but I do believe that in motivation and encouragement, you do need to be authentic. And that is what I'm going to do so that you understand what I'm going through and maybe you identify with it. But when I ask myself, what is my why? A lot of times I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know what the deep root is, or I am just not ready to admit what it is. There's something deep down in my soul and my heart, and I know it's there, but I just don't want to deal with it right now, and that's the honest truth. And if that's where you are too, that's totally fine. I would just continue to encourage you to still ask yourself those questions, because at one point you're going to start answering them even more honestly. You're going to start not being a chicken, and you're going to, and I'm really speaking that to me. I'm not saying you're necessarily a chicken. I'm just saying that sometimes fear just gets us all caught up and we don't want to do the hard work that we need to do, including drawing out emotions and actually how we feel about things, because it might be painful to go through. So just something to consider if you have a hard time answering this question. I am right there with you. And then in regards to me saying that I'm immediately judging myself because I don't feel like I have the correct answer when I answer this question, it's because I'm letting other people's opinions that I've been told before affect me, and I'm immediately using those opinions to judge myself and just let myself get carried away in thinking that whatever I'm saying, even if it is from my heart of hearts, is incorrect, and that I need to change it and pretend that it's something else, which is a dangerous game to play. I do not encourage you to do that. Just be who you truly are. That's the lesson that I am learning currently. Very difficultly, but it's so, so good. So for the second question, which is how can I create the life I want? It really makes me question which question is tougher, like between this one and what is my why. But I feel like you can go over some easy, practical ways that might help and that might work, and continue to cycle through those things until you find one that pops and gets you in the groove you need to be in. So, like if you just look at it for face value of how can I create the life I want, it does seem like a very intimidating and strong question to be asking yourself. But again, if you take a step back and look at it a different perspective and kind of break it down into practical ideas and steps that you could take and see which one, bounce them off the wall and see which one sticks, then it's much easier to take in those kind of things and figure them out. So, and yes, you might be asking how will I know that I am in the right groove? And I laugh because it's definitely a question that I've asked myself even this week often. But, because I mentioned that, but I feel like you can just go over these practical, easy ways that might work and cycle through things until you find something that works for you and just fits. And yeah, it's just like you will be asking yourself. I know there's kind of a break in there, but it's like I was just really deeply thinking yeah, you might. And I'm asking myself even on the regular, how will you know that you're in the right groove? And honestly, I think you will truly just feel how right it is and lean more into it. And I know that's not scientific at all whatsoever, but it's true. You'll feel it. You'll feel the comfort. And sometimes that comfort feels foreign and it feels scary and it feels weird that it feels so good. But you got to lean into it and try it and just pray and have faith that that's where God is leading you to be and to go and to stay. You know what I mean? But yeah, you might ask yourself that question, and it's just, it'll feel right. But I do want to leave you with some practical ways to get on the road to creating a life that you want before we end this episode and this topic for the week. So I have 5 quick practical ways that you can get on the road to creating the life you want. So the first one is you should do is envision that you already have the life that you want. And I know that some people may not believe in visualizations and kind of just believing and, I forget what the term is. Like, it's like the law of attraction kind of situation where you're just saying it's going to happen. You're believing it's going to happen, and you're just like drawing that energy towards you and however that works. And the law of attraction and that whole thing is really tough for me to grasp and believe. I struggle with it, just in a biblical sense for me. But it's not something that I hate, and it's actually been something I've been trying to learn more about and consider. But visualizations, I feel like it can work, because if you are just literally like, okay, I'm going to believe that I am like where I want to be in life, and this is the life that I've created, this is the life I'm going to enjoy, and this is what it is, and I'm already here, and I'm already imagining how it's going to go, and how I'm going to feel, and how I'm going to better people, and how I'm going to give back and love and care for others. And so if you just envision yourself that you already have that and live your life like you do to a certain point, then it can really, really help you to actually create that life, because you already believe that you have it, and you now just need to fully manifest it. So the second one is to stop dwelling on the past. This is definitely one that I have trouble with. There's a lot of my past that I've totally have let go, and I'm just like, that is in the past, and I've learned when I needed to learn from it, and I need to move on. But I would say there's some stuff that's happened within the last 10 years that it's hard for me to let things go, and I need to just let them go. And it's more of like a justice thing for me. I just feel like I need to set myself on fire and have people know that, hey, I'm over here, I'm hurting, I need you to know that. And I personally have to stop doing that, because whether they care or not doesn't matter. You got to move forward and not let those things cling to you so hard and hold you back and draw you back. So you have to stop dwelling on the past so that you can put all your focus to creating the life that you want right now and in the future, because the past doesn't matter. If you've taken the time to review what happened and take your lessons with that, just move forward, because you can't change what has already happened. The next one is to say goodbye to overwhelming fear. And I made sure that I specifically said overwhelming fear and not just fear in general, because I personally believe that a little bit of fear in life is fine, and it's healthy, and it's necessary to realize that you are still a living human being with emotions that's not super cocky or egotistical. So just a teeny bit of fear, nothing that's going to necessarily fully hold you back. It's just going to, give you a little bit of an edge to be weary, but to not necessarily weary, but like thoughtful in your approach as to how you go after something. That's a better way to put it. So say goodbye to overwhelming fear, where it's paralyzing, where it causes you to not want to try anything at all whatsoever, and be fearful of the outcome of what could happen if you even dip your toe into the river of uncertainty and change, and being sporadic and just trying new things, and really getting out there, like head first, without preparing or over preparing. So yeah, say goodbye to overwhelming fear. Second to last one is to decide what you want from life. You actually have to take the time and figure out, what do you want? Do you want to have this very specific career? Do you want to get married? Do you want to have children? Do you want to move to a different country and be a nomad, working from your computer and then just being able to travel around? Do you want to spend more time with your family? Do you want to create enough wealth so you can take care of your whole family? Do you want to acquire certain things? Do you want to accomplish and be known and regarded highly within certain things that are kind of like your side hustle or your hobbies, things like that? You have to actually decide what you want from life And believe me, all these things I'm saying right now, I'm definitely like thinking about them for myself because they're great practices for anyone. Even if you already kind of know what you want from life, just like reevaluating that is super helpful to redefining goals and then figuring out if you're still in the same headspace mindset and still in the same direction that you were previously. But yeah, you have to decide what you want and then go after it. Okay, you can't just wait for it to come meet you where you are. You have to go after it. And the last one is you will have to stop worrying about what others think about you and whether they are judging you or not. This is definitely the most difficult one, I would say, because I'm always wary of who is judging me, what other people are thinking, if they think I'm dumb or they think my ideas are stupid or they think I'm uneducated or just not smart enough to be around them or with them. And it's tough for me. And I am sure that I'm not the only person that believes that, but I am doing the hard work to step back from that and not believe that and realize there was a great quote that I heard from, if you're familiar with Static John on Instagram, there's this great quote that I saw that he posted on his wife's stories when they're having like a conversation about something totally random. But he was like, when you're worried about other people's opinions and judgments, he was like, well, why are you taking direction from someone that's never been where you're going? And I just found that to be so profound. And I don't know if he got it from someone else, but it doesn't matter. It's just like, that's where I heard it and that's where I'm crediting it. But isn't that amazing? Like, why are you taking direction from someone that's never been where you're going? Because the way that I think about that immediately is like, you're like, oh, well, a lot of people are going where I'm going. But they're not, though, because you're going to do it differently. Wherever you're going, whatever you're going to accomplish, even if you're just about to go to school to be a pediatrician, or maybe you're going to want to start a whole YouTube channel about makeup and fashion, and you're like, oh, a million kids do that. And it's just like, that's fine, though. You're going to do it differently, and you're going to put a different spin on it, and it's going to be your own thing. And you can't take the direction, especially the blind direction of someone that's never been where you're going. They won't know what journey you're about to be on. They don't know how your flair will be, right, for anything. And so it's important to remember that you have to find ways to cut off the worry about what others are thinking or them judging you or not, because, most of the time they're not. But even if they are, just let them waste their time judging you, but also indulging whatever you're doing and being so caught up in it that they must be really bored in life, or they must be so jealous and have their own issues they're trying to project on other people, that they have to be all up in your business and judging you because they apparently don't have enough to do, right? That's how I'm trying to think of it. That's what makes me feel more calm and feel more confident in being like, okay, I can do this. Like, so for example, as I close up this episode, I'm out here giving motivational and encouraging words and ideas and trying to help you guys with the best advice I can give on certain topics that I am versed in or ones that I take a lot of time to research. And, that seems so weird to me, though. It really does. It really does seem weird to me that that's what I want to do, but it is. I've sat down and thought about it so many times of like, why is this what I want to do? Why couldn't I have just been into makeup or been into fashion or, been into DIY projects or whatever, or be a comedian like everyone else online? But it's because God has created me not to be exactly like those other people. And granted, there are so many people online that are encouraging and giving mental health advice that are even like doctors, which scares me even more because I went to school some, but I didn't get my doctorate or anything, even though that was the plan. It didn't happen that way, but still here I am trying to be encouraging and motivational, and all I want to do is to be a small teeny tiny version of like Tony Robbins. That's my goal, and it just seems like such a weird goal to have, but it's the thing I keep coming back to. And so I just want to encourage you that if you feel like the thing that you want to do and you want to go after seems weird, it seems like no one would care, it seems like it's so out there, then just know that there's other people that are dealing with that too, and that there are going to be people that are interested in what you're doing and what you're talking about and what you're trying to share. And that's the thing I have to remind myself all the time. And I wanted to remind you of that as well. So, okay, you guys, well, I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, my name is Sabrina. I really hope that you enjoyed this topic all week and you found it really helpful to have a bunch of questions to ask yourself every single day or every couple days or once a week that really help you dig in and figure out what you want out of life and what you need to change and give up and just adjust and things to use to always become your better self, which is what I'm here to help you to do. So check the description box for where to find me on Instagram, my email address, all the deets you guys know. But I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you come back next week for an amazing, amazing topic. And you know that I rarely give away what I am going to talk about because I generally don't know, but I know what I'm going to talk about next week. And if you decide to listen to the end, then you get to know that next week I'm going to talk about focus on these things. That's the topic. And we're going to talk about what things that you should be putting more of your focus on, like your purpose and being productive and simplifying your life and your mental health and being grateful. So that is your sneak peek for next week. But until then, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.